A high-voltage warning sign pulses with neon dread. One wrong move and it's game over. He screams in terror, realizing the gravity of his situation. Cold sweat drips as the fear of being captured grips his heart. He has to stay hidden. Falling into their hands would be a fate worse than death. Raw power crackles as he reconnects the severed line. The current surges, igniting a dangerous spark of pure intensity. If he gets caught now, his entire world collapses in an instant. He would rather face the end than return to that living hell. But he isn't just any man. He carries the legendary heart of resurrection within his chest. He refuses to die. Not today, not ever. Resurrection Boy. A title that sounds like a cheap superhero movie, but for him, it's a grim reality. These rare, mystical hearts exist in the shadows of the world, hidden from plain sight. The masses worship these powers as divine blessings, completely oblivious to the truth. A blessing? He scoffs at the very notion. His gift has been nothing but a curse. It was this very heart that dragged him into this nightmare. Hunger gnaws at his insides. He's so famished he feels like he's losing his grip on reality. He spots it. Bread tossed into the trash like common refuse. Honestly, it's not even that bad. At this point, he's basically a gourmet food critic for dumpsters. An unexpected encounter breaks the silence as a stray dog approaches with a wagging tail. Our protagonist is left completely baffled by this sudden, furry visitor. He looks down at the creature, wondering if they're both fighting the same hunger. He offers a gentle pat, finally finding a shred of comfort. Suddenly, a sound echoes through the alley. Is he being tracked? The lab boys. They've finally sniffed him out. A local teen tries to shoo the dog away, oblivious to the monster lurking in the shadows. He realizes it's just a random kid, no lab agents here, thankfully. The student is annoyed, tossing insults while the puppy plays hard to get. A bag of dog food catches his eye. Did she come here just to feed the strays? He tries to get her attention, desperate for a human connection. She turns around, bewildered by the sight of this strange, ragged figure. He tries to explain, but his voice fails him. He's definitely not a beggar, though he certainly looks the part. Panic takes hold as he reaches out in absolute desperation. His world is falling apart right before his eyes. A lethal strike descends with terrifying speed. The blade cuts through the air, leaving no room for escape. He tries to tell her to beat it, but his social skills are clearly as dead as his skin. She lets out a blood-curdling shriek. She thinks he's a ghost. He tries to offer a shaky word of thanks, but it only makes things worse. A terrifying skeletal nightmare lunges from the shadows, locking its hollow gaze on the defenseless girl. Total dread consumes the air as the monster marks its next victim. She screams for him to stay back, terrified of the walking corpse in front of her. The dog food bag is the only thing keeping this scene from becoming a full-blown horror movie. He stares blankly, confused by her reaction. It's just dog food, nothing to scream about, right? He desperately asks for a share, his stomach growling like a beast. Pure terror freezes her expression as she stares into the face of an unthinkable nightmare. The ghost talks. That's definitely not on the list of things people expect from their local neighborhood skeletons. As expected, she turns and sprints for her life. He sighs, finally left alone to enjoy his kibble in peace. She stops, looking back. Is that actually a living person underneath all that bone? Her mind races. How could anyone survive in such a state? The realization hits her like a truck. He's a heart mutant. She remembers the rumors. These people have incredible abilities. She feels a pang of guilt for her rude behavior. She turns around, gathering her courage to face the unknown. She approaches him, offering a Subway sandwich as a peace offering. He's stunned. Someone is actually sharing food with him? She apologizes for running, and he's so grateful he's practically tearing up. If he had tear ducts, that is. Death itself has stopped for a snack. This skeletal warrior is trading terror for a delicious sandwich under the clear blue sky. He's seen the wrappers before, but tasting it is a whole new experience. This is heaven in a plastic bag. The fresh veggies and bread are a revelation. He'd gladly die for another bite of this. Amidst a flurry of falling feathers, she finds a moment of pure, tender connection with her canine companions. It's a rare, heartwarming breather in this chaotic world. She asks for his name, trying to bridge the gap between human and skeleton. He introduces himself as Geo. She introduces herself as Song Hyaji, finally treating him like a person. She asks how he ended up in this state, and he reveals the dark truth about his past. A lab? Her heart sinks as the reality of his situation sets in. They've been hunting him, trying to drag him back to their cold, sterile facility. She's heard rumors, but hearing the truth from a victim is truly harrowing. He pauses, bracing himself to tell the tale. 10 years of torture, poisons, and organ harvesting. His life has been a living hell. She's horrified. 10 years of such cruelty is enough to break anyone's spirit. His heart of resurrection keeps him alive, but it also ensures the torture never truly ends. That's how he ended up as a walking skeleton, a hollow vessel for a cruel experiment. Her eyes lock onto the target with lethal precision. No one escapes that piercing, ice-cold gaze. He shakes his head, trying to push the memories away. She insists that they go somewhere safe. He's hesitant, but she's determined to help him. She grabs his hand, a simple human touch that shakes him to his core. Even as a monster, he feels the weight of her kindness. His arm wobbles at the sudden movement. A moment of awkward tension hangs in the air. His hand falls off, but he acts like it's just a minor inconvenience. Classic skeleton problems. He pops it back into place, unfazed, while she tries not to faint from the shock. They head off together, two unlikely allies against the world. She insists on a disguise. He stands out way too much for comfort. She offers some spare clothes, not high fashion, but they'll do the job. He's overwhelmed by the simple joy of wearing actual fabric. The feeling of clothes against his bones makes him feel almost human again. These are the best clothes he's ever owned. She isn't finished yet. The face is still a dead giveaway. No ears for a mask, so makeup is the only way to cover that skull. She gets to work, transforming the Reaper into something slightly more civilian. She worries it's a bad job, but honestly, he looks like he's ready for a night out on the town. He looks at himself, amazed by the transformation. She realizes she's late for cram school. The life of a student waits for no one, not even a skeleton. She says her goodbyes, promising to return. She reminds him to feed the dogs, leaving him with a sense of purpose. The mask slips, revealing a twisted, bone-chilling grin that spells nothing but pure terror. His true colors are finally out, and there's no turning back from this nightmare. With her long hair flowing, she charges forward with a determined fist held high. The mission begins now. He wonders if she'll really come back. People usually don't. Everyone at the lab treated him like a piece of meat. Everyone else he met ran away in fear. She's the first person to treat him like a human being, and it's a feeling he's not used to. If he hadn't met her, he'd still be wandering the streets in despair. He's truly thankful. He needs a name for the little guy, the puppy who's become his best friend. Potato it is. The puppy seems to approve with a wag of his tail. That Subway sandwich was definitely the highlight of his decade. She's an angel, and he's lucky to have found her. He finds himself actually looking forward to tomorrow. A first for him. The skull-faced mystery man finds his only friends in the darkest of alleys. Silence falls as he's swarmed by a pack of stray pups. He catches himself. Why is he acting so sentimental? He's a wanted man. He shouldn't be getting attached. The silence breaks as he steps into the water, signaling that the carnage is about to begin. Don't let those casual slides fool you. A storm is coming. He knows he should leave for his own safety, but the city is calling. Under the glow of a haunting full moon, a lone figure walks into the depths of the silent, shadowed city. The stage is set for a night of reckoning. The city looms overhead, but a dark, mysterious entrance waits below. What secrets are buried in the depths of this hidden gate? The fabric tears away to reveal a horrifying, skeletal truth beneath the surface. His humanity is vanishing, replaced by something dark and cold. Discarded like trash, a hollowed-out soul lies broken in the alleyway. The Reaper has come early, leaving behind nothing but a chilling, empty shell. Someone screams. What is that thing? He wonders if he just passed out while walking. He really needs a better sleep schedule. Hunger returns with a vengeance, driving him to hunt for more scraps. He's prepared this time. He's got a stash of dog food ready to go. Behold the legendary sub, sparkling with the promise of ultimate flavor. A true feast fit for a hero. Lettuce, bread, meat. It's all there. It's almost as good as the real thing. He stops in his tracks. He senses someone nearby. Wait, is that his sandwich? Potato, you little thief, you can't eat that. He stares in disbelief. It's Potato, looking guilty as ever. How did the dog find him here? If the dog is here, that means he really thought being a skull-faced monster would keep people away. She's been looking for him everywhere. He can't just disappear on her. She's clearly relieved to find him. His disguise must have been better than he thought. The dogs led her straight to him, nature's own GPS. She was worried sick about him wandering around in that state. He feels bad. He never wanted to be a burden. But seeing her again, he can't help but be glad. Even the puppy was worried. He's got a real support system now. She insists they eat together. No more starving in the alleys. She brought a whole stash of convenience store goods. She's come prepared. She tells him to try something new. Cookies in milk? He takes a bite and his world explodes with flavor. Yesterday was good. But this is a whole new level of culinary bliss. He's never tasted anything like this before. His brain is melting from the sheer deliciousness. He's never been happier. Whoa, his bones are actually regenerating from the food. She's amazed. He's healing right in front of her eyes. Science can't explain this, but who cares when you've got snacks? He worries it might take days, but she's just happy he's recovering. A few years? That's a long time to wait for a full glow-up. So eating works, but what's the other, faster way to heal? He needs blood, but he's not about to scare her by mentioning that little detail. If you're enjoying this recap, smash that like button and subscribe for more. He explains that his current recovery method is unique to the lab, but for now, simple nutrition is doing the trick. She asks if the lab recovered him, to which he bitterly confirms they only wanted him back for more experiments. He reveals that no matter where he hides, those stubborn scientists are always hot on his trail. She begins to realize the heartbreaking reason he left without saying a word. He warns her to stay away, insisting that being near him is a death sentence, and she shouldn't waste any more kindness on him. She refuses to give up, demanding they head to the police station immediately. He scoffs at the idea, recounting how the authorities once treated him like a subhuman monster. She tells him to relax, revealing that her older sister is actually a police officer. To his shock, she adds that her sister is a heart mutant just like him. He is stunned by the revelation, but she stands firm, confirming it's the truth. He remains skeptical, struggling to believe that anyone could truly help him. She begs him to trust her just this once, swearing that her sister is a genuinely good person. A moment of hesitation lingers in the air as he processes her offer. They part ways for the moment with a reminder to enjoy the day. She tells him to stay out of trouble and promises that the shelter will be in touch soon. The adorable stray lets out a cheerful bark, drooling with pure, unadulterated excitement. This good boy is ready for action. He thanks the dog, affectionately calling him Potato, for being there for him once again. He resolves that this time he won't run away like a coward. He promises to return and see Potato again with a rare, genuine smile. This is a monumental first for him. He's actually choosing to stay and face his problems. After 3 years of constant flight, he finally feels like someone has reached out a hand to help. It's a strange, foreign sensation, having someone actually care about his survival. He wonders if, for the first time, he might be able to live a life without running. The mask drops, revealing a chilling, skull-faced terror beneath the hood. His gaze pierces through the bone, signaling that the real nightmare has just begun. A cold chill runs down her spine as she realizes she's not alone. Terror locks her in place as a lethal threat emerges from the shadows. A brutal collision sends his world spinning into chaos. With his glasses shattered and his humanity stripped away, he's plummeted into a nightmare. Everything is falling apart in a heartbeat. He screams for Geo, urging him to grab the bastards before more people arrive to complicate things. A swarm of thugs descends on their target with brutal intent. With a baseball bat in hand, the ambush is officially underway. The mysterious duo makes their move, snatching the masked target in a flash. There's no escaping their iron grip now. The flame flares to life with a sharp hiss. Tension rises as the cigarette catches fire, signaling the start of something dangerous. The thugs mock him, calling him a skeleton punk, and relishing the chance to corner him. They move in for the capture, showing absolutely no mercy. They're eager to make him pay for every ounce of trouble he's caused them. The engines roar as a high-speed pursuit tears up the asphalt. No one is backing down in this deadly game of cat and mouse. He lets out a guttural, pained cry as the pressure mounts. He struggles against the overwhelming force, gasping for air. He curses his luck, realizing he's been backed into a corner. He screams, desperate to stop them before things get even worse. He blames himself for everything unfolding right now. The guilt hits him hard. Hyaji is in danger all because of his existence. A massive, blood-soaked hand slams into the ground with bone-crushing force. The impact sends shockwaves of destruction through the battlefield. A lethal strike connects, sending the villains spiraling into agony. With a single brutal blow, the tide of battle shifts in an instant. A gruesome transformation tears through the flesh, revealing the skull beneath. The nightmare has only just begun. The mask shatters, revealing a chilling gaze of pure, unadulterated fury. Reality cracks as the beast beneath finally breaks free. He cries out for someone, anyone, to help him survive this. A pack of monstrous beasts launches a lethal ambush, closing the distance in a blur of fur and claws. The hunt is on, and there's nowhere left to run. He tries to reason with them, but his words are falling on deaf ears. The victim is brutally dragged across the asphalt by a relentless pack of hounds. There's no escaping this savage pursuit. The car screeches to a violent halt, burning rubber against the asphalt. Tension spikes as the sudden stop signals trouble ahead. He braces himself, knowing what comes next. The dogs go absolutely wild, barking with ferocity to protect him. The thugs are caught off guard, shouting in confusion and rage. The heavy rhythmic thud of polished shoes echoes through the street. A dangerous force is closing in, and there's nowhere left to run. A thug sneers, wondering if the dogs are literally begging for a death sentence. One of the dogs lets out a pained yelp as the thugs lash out. The thugs show no remorse, violently kicking at the animals. He struggles to rise, watching in horror as the dogs fight on his behalf. He knows he has to do something, anything, to turn the tide. He watches as the dogs take blow after blow, his heart breaking for them. A sudden realization hits him. The blood spilled on the ground is his key to survival. He realizes he can absorb the gangster's spilled blood to trigger a minor regeneration. He crawls toward the blood, his body failing him with every inch. He prays that if he can just recover a little, he can fight back. Tragedy strikes as a brutal scene leaves them both broken and bloodied on the cold asphalt. The silence is deafening as reality sets in. The world fades to black as he stares at the carnage. He calls out for Potato, his voice trembling with dread. A brutal strike leaves the innocent pup lifeless in a pool of blood. The silence is deafening as tragedy strikes. The beast falls, meeting a grim and bloody end. Its reign of terror is silenced forever. He whispers the names of his fallen companions, one by one. 10 years of misery, all leading up to this moment. Bound in blood and iron, the prisoner suffers a fate worse than death. Every heavy chain pulls tighter, sealing his agonizing nightmare. He remembers the cycle of torture, the daily blood injections and the horrific organ removals. It was the same nightmare repeated every single day, without end. He finally managed to plan an escape and miraculously broke out of the lab. He had foolishly hoped that freedom would bring him happiness. Instead, he found that the people on the outside despised him just as much as his captors. To them, he was nothing more than a monster to be hunted. However, his resolve hasn't shattered yet. The ribs shatter, exposing a heart that beats with monstrous, blood-soaked intensity. There is no turning back now. A monstrous heart awakens, pulsing with terrifying, forbidden power. The darkness trembles as it beats with a rhythm that signals impending doom. He thinks of the dogs and Hyaji, his mind burning with a newfound, dangerous resolve. He wants to live like a human being, even if the world won't let him. The city street erupts in a surge of lethal crimson energy. A monstrous horror is caught dead in its tracks as the blood-red power tears through the pavement. The monstrosity unleashes a torrent of lethal crimson energy. It's a blood-soaked display of pure, unadulterated power. The monster erupts in a visceral display of pure, blood-soaked agony. A lethal transformation tears through its very core. A lethal vortex of blood erupts with bone-chilling intensity. Chaos reigns as the crimson whirlwind tears everything to shreds. A surge of malevolent power erupts as he clenches his fist in pure fury. The air itself trembles under the weight of his dark, suffocating aura. A crimson aura erupts as raw, uncontrollable power surges through his veins. The carnage begins with a single, lethal motion. A horrific spray of blood erupts as the victim is torn clean apart in a single, brutal motion. Nothing remains but a chilling display of pure, unadulterated carnage. Blood erupts as the Reaper unleashes his savage power. He stands amidst the carnage, eyes locked on his next kill. He stares at his own hands, realizing the extent of his transformation. A surge of raw power courses through his veins as he reaches toward the heavens. The limits of his strength are about to be shattered. He reflects on his youth, before the world turned him into a weapon. He wonders if there was ever a chance for a normal life. It was the dog's blood that ultimately gave him the strength to fight back. The thugs are terrified, watching in awe as his body regenerates completely. The boss orders them to keep attacking, refusing to lose such a valuable specimen. A brutal, bone-crushing fist connects, sending a spray of blood flying. One devastating blow is all it takes to shatter the opposition. A bone-crushing uppercut lands with lethal precision. The enemy is sent reeling as his defenses are shattered in a single, brutal blow. A devastating impact rocks the vehicle with bone-shattering force. The target is hit, and there's no turning back now. One brutal strike sends his head clean through the steel door. The impact leaves his opponent broken and lifeless in an instant. A heart-wrenching embrace marks the end of the road for a loyal companion. The silence is deafening as they share one last, tragic moment together. Bloodied and broken, he clings to his only companion in a desperate, heartbreaking embrace. The world may be falling apart, but he refuses to let go. He asks if they truly understand the most painful way to die. Tensions reach a boiling point as the crew snaps, pushed to their absolute limit. The air is thick with rage and disbelief as the confrontation turns explosive. He calls out for Hyaji, his voice filled with urgency. He demands to know where they have taken her. The silence of this desolate complex hides a dark, looming secret. Something dangerous is waiting within these shadows. The shadows close in as a fleet of black cars converges on the desolate hideout. Someone is about to face a very dangerous reckoning. The shadows close in as he desperately pulls the hood over his face. Hiding from a truth he can no longer bear, panic sets in as he clutches his head, spiraling into total despair. He screams at them, demanding to know who they are and what they want. A cold sweat breaks as realization hits her. There's no turning back now. If you're enjoying this recap, smash that like button and subscribe for more. She wakes up in a cold, dark room, completely disoriented. A voice echoes in the darkness, mocking the presence of human corpses. A thug complains about how loud and annoying she is. He asks sarcastically if she's trying to collect extra lives by being so stubborn. They tell her that if she wants to blame someone, she should point her finger at the skeleton punk who dragged her into this mess. They threaten to silence her permanently if she keeps talking. They heartlessly remark that a few deaths in this place don't matter to anyone. The atmosphere turns even colder as they prepare to finish the job. A phone rings. The boss is impatient, demanding to know why his underlings aren't reporting in person. The boss screams, asking where the skeleton punk is and what happened to the dogs. He is baffled to hear the report that the skeleton has turned into a human. The boss loses his mind, cursing his underlings for their incompetence and incoherent reports. He struggles to comprehend the news. Did the dogs actually try to help him? He can't believe they lost the most valuable asset they've ever had. The boss calls them useless trash for letting their prize escape. He threatens their lives, promising them a slow, painful end if they don't bring the punk back. They turn their aggression toward Hyaji, demanding she spill every secret she knows. They threaten her with violence, desperate to squeeze information out of her. The boss is obsessed with the money, clearly valuing profit over human life. Hyaji stammers that she doesn't know anything, but they aren't buying it. They threaten to put a few more breathing holes in her if she doesn't start talking soon. She thinks of Gio, realizing how much trouble she's in because she acted like a fool. She panics, wondering how she can possibly get out of this alive. The tension snaps as a ruthless assailant grabs her by the hair, blade drawn and ready to strike. Her life hangs by a thread in this heart-stopping moment of pure terror. She is paralyzed with fear, staring into the face of a killer. Surrounded by a gruesome slaughterhouse, our hero slides into the heart of the fray to face his enemies head-on. The tension is lethal as the final showdown begins. A mysterious figure emerges from the blinding light, radiating an aura of pure, silent menace. The calm before the storm has arrived. A cold chill runs down his spine as he realizes the tables have completely turned. The hunter has suddenly become the prey. The thugs are genuinely confused by the strange kid standing before them. One of them mocks his appearance, calling him a homeless beggar. He doesn't say a word, his eyes burning with a dark, terrifying intensity. The thug is shocked to feel the raw, overwhelming strength radiating from the boy. He whispers that all of this, the death and the pain, is because of them. He stares at the ground, mourning the loss of the dogs who were the only ones to show him kindness. The boss screams in a panic, ordering his men to deal with the threat immediately. A brutal, clean strike connects, snapping his head back with bone-jarring force. The fight just went from zero to lethal in a single blow. Betrayed and battered, he finally hits his breaking point. The silence shatters as a spray of blood marks the end of his restraint. Pure, unadulterated rage consumes him. He winds up for a bone-crushing blow that will leave his enemy shattered. A pained cry escapes his lips as the impact lands. He roars, "Gotcha, you bastard!" as he finally corners his target. A brutal headbutt sends shockwaves through the air. Our protagonist is being pushed to the absolute brink. The battle rages on, but the narrator is taking a quick break to remind you to keep reading. A brutal, earth-shattering strike connects with devastating force. The ground crumbles as he delivers a bone-crushing blow to his helpless opponent. A sudden, bone-chilling realization hits them like a freight train. Their eyes widen in pure, unadulterated shock. They stare in disbelief, stammering, "You guys! You're the ones sent by the Hermes lab, right?" he demands, his voice dripping with venom. The realization hits them like a truck. There's no way this is happening. They gasp in terror. "Mr. Gio? F***CK, so that's what it is," one thug screams. "That kid was the skeleton punk all along." The brokers warned them he might look different if he regenerated. But seeing it in person is a whole different level of nightmare. A brutal, point-blank shot tears through his chest. He's caught completely off guard as the lethal bullet finds its mark. "Thanks for crawling back here on your own," the villain sneers, enjoying the cruelty. He barks an order to his men. "Bring out all the guns we received as payment for this deal." The henchmen scramble, shouting a unified, "Yes, sir." They're convinced money is more important than survival, telling their cohorts not to hold back and just keep shooting. They scream to keep firing until he can't regenerate anymore. "Don't stop. Keep shooting," they wail, clearly terrified of what happens if he stands back up. A brutal strike shatters his defenses, sending him spiraling into a bloody haze. The end is near as he gasps for his final breath. "My flesh is tearing apart," he whispers, his body failing him. "And my bones are shattering," he adds, struggling to stay conscious. The shadows consume his sanity as he lets out a blood-curdling, deranged laugh. Total madness has finally taken the wheel. "Stop!" someone cries out, though it's far too late for that. They cheer in relief. This F***king bastard finally went down, broken and bloodied. He hangs on the razor's edge of death. But listen closely. His heart is still pounding for vengeance. A trembling hand reaches out, clawing through a fresh pool of blood. The end is near. A monstrous hand slams down, piercing the very fabric of reality with a spray of crimson blood. The nightmare has arrived, and there is nowhere left to hide. He stands at 51% power, and that's already enough to send them running. An ominous, pulsating heart awakens with a blinding surge of power. The darkness trembles as a terrifying new force begins to beat. "Boss!" a henchman screams. "This punk is coming back to life." The panic is real. He's rising again despite the carnage. He's getting up like a zombie, and the thugs are losing their minds. A single, brutal strike decapitates the enemy in a fountain of blood. The battlefield is silenced as his head is sent flying. "Are you just gonna stand there and watch?" the boss bellows. "What are you doing? Shoot!" A lethal bullet tears through his skull, ending his life in a spray of crimson. Death strikes in an instant. A hail of bullets tears through him in a brutal, point-blank execution. He doesn't stand a chance as the impact forces his body back with lethal precision. A lethal barrage of strikes tears through his defenses, painting the air in crimson. He's caught completely off guard as the brutal assault leaves him broken and bleeding. He grunts, "But it doesn't hurt as much as I thought." Because he struggles to finish his thought.
"Eva endured."
He continues, his resolve hardening. "Qua!" A deafening roar tears from his throat. "Were far more painful," he growls, dismissing their pathetic attempts to hurt him. A brutal, face-shattering punch connects with devastating force. The impact sends shockwaves through his skull as his lights go out. A lethal, high-speed strike slices through the air. The masked warrior narrowly dodges certain doom as the battlefield erupts in chaos. A cold, murderous glint flashes in his eyes as he reaches his breaking point. The time for mercy is over. A brutal strike connects, leaving him reeling in shock and agony. The fight just took a violent turn. A figure hangs suspended in mid-air, defying the laws of gravity itself. A brutal, bone-crushing blow connects square with the jaw. The target is sent flying with nowhere to hide. A brutal, bone-crushing punch sends the target flying across the room with devastating force. The shockwave alone leaves his cohorts trembling in absolute terror. If you're enjoying this recap, smash that like button and subscribe for more. He unleashes a devastating, bone-shattering strike that sends his opponent flying. One punch is all it takes to completely dominate the chaos. A disheveled stray wags its tail with pure, simple-minded delight. Despite the grim surroundings, this good boy is ready for action. "Don't come closer," the terrified thug shrieks. Don't come closer. I'll shoot this B***tsh," he threatens, holding a hostage as a pathetic human shield. A bone-shattering strike connects, sending his opponent reeling. The power behind that punch is absolutely devastating. A brutal, bone-shattering strike lands square on the jaw. The impact sends shockwaves of pure pain through his face. Pure, unbridled rage consumes his eyes. He's pushed past his limits and is ready to tear everything apart. He whispers of a dream to see them again, no matter the cost. With a single, thunderous blow, he shatters the steel container and sends his opponent flying. The sheer force of the impact leaves his enemy helpless against the wall. The violence is escalating, and the narrator is here to keep you updated. A brutal blow lands square on his face, leaving him reeling in shock and agony. He's pushed to his absolute limit as the blood begins to flow. Battered and bloodied, the beast finally realizes he's met his match. Absolute terror washes over him as the reality of his defeat sinks in. Please spare me, the coward begs. I'll do whatever you say. Too late, he replies coldly. A devastating, bone-shattering blow slams into his opponent with earth-shattering force. The fight ends in a single, brutal instant. Cue! The villain gasps as his life force fades. A brutal, earth-shattering blow leaves him coughing up blood. The fight has just reached its breaking point. A brutal, bone-crushing fist connects square with his face. Lights out for the underdog. A brutal, lightning-fast strike sends the enemy crashing to the floor. The fight just went from 0 to lethal in a heartbeat. A brutal, bone-crushing blow slams his opponent into the pavement. The sheer force of the impact sends shockwaves rippling through the air. A brutal, bone-shattering impact leaves the victim pulverized and bleeding out. The sheer force of the strike has left them completely broken. Broken and battered, he clutches his wounds in the chilling silence. The end is near, and he's not going down without a fight. A single, blood-drenched fist lands with devastating impact. The fight just got personal. The cold, calculated fist descends, leaving his opponent broken and bleeding on the floor. Mercy is a foreign concept in this brutal beatdown. The lone wolf stands tall amidst a sea of broken bodies. One swift strike, and the entire room has been decimated. Pushed to his absolute limit, he gasps for air with his last ounce of strength. The battle has left him battered, breathless, and teetering on the edge. A soft voice calls out, "Mr. Geo? Even in the heat of battle, we can't forget the story." He lets out a weary, shaky sigh. The air turns ice-cold as he looms over her, a battle-worn shadow in the meat locker. Terror fills her eyes while the silence screams of impending violence. "Are you sure you're okay, mister?" she asks, voice trembling. "You got shot. So many times." "I'm so glad," he murmurs, his tone shifting from violent to tender. The walls are closing in as he breaks down in a heart-wrenching display of pure, unfiltered agony. His world is shattering, and he can't hold back the tears anymore. "That you're alive," he finishes, his voice cracking. He reveals the tragic truth. The dogs gave their lives to protect them. "But I was so scared that you might have died too, Hyaji," he admits. "I'm so glad you're alive," he repeats, letting the relief wash over him. She is confused, asking, "What do you mean, thank me?" A desperate hand clutches at tattered fabric, signaling a moment of pure, raw intensity. The stakes have never been higher. Amidst the ruins, a desperate embrace captures the weight of their shattered world. Nothing can break the intensity of this heart-wrenching reunion. "Look at you moving so slow. Hurry up. Take the suspects away," the police officer shouts, taking charge of the scene. The chaotic scene settles as the authorities move in. "It's a violent incident caused by an internal gang dispute," the officer notes. "But are you telling me this much damage was caused just by them fighting amongst themselves?" The gangsters are finally being rounded up, their criminal reign coming to a messy end. Caught in the shadows, her chilling smile hides a deadly secret. The trap is set, and there's no turning back now. "Let's just go for now," they whisper, fleeing the scene of the carnage. A heartbreaking sob ripples through the air. A soft sniffle follows, cutting through the silence of the aftermath. "I'm sorry, you guys," he says, apologizing to the fallen. He lists their names: Baduk, Siru, Dengal, Chaco, Bayal, and Maru. "It's all because of me," he mourns. "The dogs followed me to try and save me." He regrets not being able to protect them, despite the fleeting moments of warmth and food he shared with them. "That's not it. It's not your fault, Hyaji," he insists. "The dogs gave their blood to me and died. What are you doing right now? She asks in alarm. He wonders if his special blood could actually bring them back to life. A sharp, sudden wound tears through the skin. Crimson blood drips as the intensity hits a breaking point. Fresh blood curls around his fingertip like a deadly signature. The hunt has officially begun. Damn it! Why is he recovering so fast? The enemies wonder from afar. Driven by a twisted frenzy, he sinks his teeth into his own finger to unleash a terrifying power. The blood flows and the real nightmare begins. Stop it, she cries. The dogs will be even sadder. Sadder? He questions. They died because of me. Wouldn't they resent me? Resent you? Do you know how much the dogs loved you, mister? She asks, tears streaming down her face. She explains that they were wary of people, but they chose to trust him. Wary of people? He reflects, surprised by the revelation. They had scars from a lifetime of abuse, making their trust even more meaningful. I had no idea at all, he realizes. I just thought they were gentle dogs. That's why if you hurt your own body and blame yourself, mister, it'll break these dogs' hearts too, she warns. Heartbreak hits hard as he cradles his fallen companion in the dirt. The silence of the aftermath is deafening. Their willingness to approach him was a sign of a deeper bond. They recognized his pain because they felt it too. Thank you, he whispers, finally understanding. A mysterious encounter unfolds as the duo stumbles upon a lonely stray in the heart of the woods. Will this unexpected meeting change everything? It's Potato's pup, she exclaims. I was worried because I didn't see you, but thank goodness you're alive. Huh? He grunts, surprised. He's looking at you, mister? She observes. You don't hate me? He asks the puppy. Because of me. Your friends and your mom all died. The tension breaks as an adorable pup suddenly appears, eagerly licking his hand. This unexpected encounter has left everyone completely stunned. This kid too. I think he likes you, mister. She beams. Ah. He fell asleep, he notes, his voice softening. The little guy must have been absolutely exhausted from the ordeal. He wonders what to do. He can't just leave a newborn alone in this state. She asks about his future, knowing the lab guys are still on his trail. He decides to make a call to her sister to figure out their next move. The plan is set. They're moving on, and they'll meet up later. A transition panel shows them moving through the quiet night. Night falls over the city, but the mystery is just getting started. Danger lurks behind the quiet facade of this apartment complex. A house. Come on in, make yourself comfortable. She invites him. Is it really okay for me to go in? He hesitates. Something as dangerous as me. You're someone who risked his life to protect me, she declares. Why would you be dangerous? She mentions her sister wants to meet him, as she's investigating the very lab that's hunting him. Anyway, it's fine, so you can come in, she insists. Tattered and weary, he stares into the mirror only to find his reflection holding a mysterious, pint-sized companion. The lines between reality and the bizarre blur as he faces an impossible sight. What's wrong? He gasps, touching his face. I have cheeks, a nose, and even lips. What? My face came back. His face hadn't properly regenerated since he was young, and now it's all coming back. Slowly but surely. Staring at his own reflection, he struggles to process his new, youthful appearance. He calls her out on her constant chatter, but admits her words have been weighing on his mind for quite some time. Now that he's fully regenerated, she demands the truth. Just how old is he? Really? He pauses, barely remembering a time when he even cared to track his own age. He recounts his history. Entering the lab at 7, surviving 7 grueling year-end tests, and enduring 3 long seasons after his escape. A shock hits her like a truck. He's only 17. She realizes with horror that they are the same age, and she's been calling him Mr. this whole time. He confesses that hearing her address him like a normal human being actually made him happy. A chilling realization stops her cold. The shock is written all over her face. She's conflicted. It's both incredibly pitiful and surprisingly cute. She insists on dropping the formalities immediately and drags him off to wash up for dinner. The little guy is absolutely crushing his meal, leaving no crumb behind. Chow time has never looked this intense. An eerie silence hangs in the kitchen as he stands frozen, lost in the weight of his own thoughts. The calm before the storm has never felt so heavy. He can't believe it. The food is warm and tastes absolutely incredible. She apologizes for her poor cooking skills, insisting it's just a simple soy sauce egg rice dish. He ignores her modesty, claiming it's the best meal he's had in years. She mentions that her sister had a sudden change of plans and won't be making it home tonight. He lingers on the news, processing the sudden change in atmosphere. She offers him a place to crash for the night, leaving him stunned and hesitant. He's honored by the gesture and insists he'd be perfectly happy sleeping on the floor. She retreats to her room to handle her homework, leaving him to settle in for the night. The door handle turns with a sharp click. Someone is about to reveal what's hiding on the other side. His mind is racing as he struggles to comprehend the strange modern gadgets around him. Sweat beads on his brow as he nervously scans the room, caught in a moment of pure, heart-pounding tension. Something is definitely wrong, and he's bracing for the worst. He gazes at the television in awe, wondering how a screen can be so thin and yet so massive. The sight of indoor plants and domestic life is a stark, confusing contrast to the sterile environment of the lab. He tests the sofa, shocked by how soft and comfortable it is compared to his old cot. He sinks into the furniture, overwhelmed by the luxury of simple comfort. The adorable pup dives into its meal with unstoppable hunger. It's snack time, and this little guy is wasting no time. If you're enjoying this recap, smash that like button and subscribe for more. The poor pup is hit with a sudden wave of nausea, violently rejecting its meal. Whatever just went down. This little guy is feeling the full force of a stomach-churning disaster. She rushes over, deeply concerned for the little one. The pup lets out a small, distressed sound, clearly not feeling like itself. A moment of frantic confusion ensues as they try to figure out what's wrong. An adorable mystery unfolds as the confused pup stares down its empty bowl. Will hunger strike, or is it just waiting for a snack attack? He breathes a sigh of relief. It seems like it was just a false alarm after all. Wrapped in a cozy blanket, he drifts off with a soft smile and his favorite plushie. Even the coldest souls need a little comfort. He revels in the warmth and fluffiness, savoring the peaceful moment. He whispers to the pup, wondering if it's enjoying the new home as much as he is. The naming ceremony begins. Since the pup came from potato, they settle on French fry. It's official. From now on, the little guy is known as Fry. The tiny beast drifts into a peaceful slumber, completely oblivious to the chaos brewing around it. Don't let that adorable face fool you. This calm is only the precursor to the storm. He reflects on the warmth, finally understanding what people mean when they talk about happiness. A simple bowl of rice meets its destiny under a perfectly fried egg, drizzled with a rich, savory glaze. It's the ultimate culinary masterpiece prepared to satisfy the deepest of cravings. The warmth of the food seems to soothe his very soul. He revels in the simple luxury of being able to wash with warm water. The realization that he has a soft place to sleep and a roof over his head feels like a miracle. A cold, calculated smirk spreads across his face as he plots his next move. The predator has finally cornered his prey. Panic erupts as the order to evacuate rings out. Chaos ensues as everyone scrambles for their lives. He screams directions, pointing toward the exit amidst the blinding smoke and debris. The situation turns dire. They are facing A-rank mutants, and there is absolutely no room for error. A blood-curdling cry echoes through the hall as the mutants strike. The ground shatters, burying the survivors under the crushing weight of their own ruin. Desperation takes hold as they claw through the wreckage to escape their grave. The soldier locks onto his target with lethal precision. There's no turning back now. A cataclysmic gate tears open the fabric of reality. The countdown to total destruction begins now. A scorching blast of pure fury erupts as the operative unleashes a devastating wave of flames. The target is blown away, helpless against this fiery onslaught. The elite soldiers freeze in their tracks as a sudden, terrifying presence catches them completely off guard. Their mission has just turned into a nightmare. He checks his gear, his heart pounding against his ribs. He shouts at his partner to snap out of the trance before it's too late. The ceiling crumbles as he makes a desperate stand to shield his comrade. With debris raining down, he refuses to let the rubble crush them both. They narrowly avoid a falling pillar, the dust choking the air. The mask slips, revealing a chilling gaze that cuts straight to the soul. Terror takes hold as the true face of the enemy is finally unmasked. He urges his teammate to move faster. The exit is within reach. They scramble towards safety, every second feeling like an eternity. They barely make it out, the weight of their near-death experience hanging heavy in the air. A chilling glare cuts through the shadows, revealing a predatory focus. The hunt has just begun. He looks out into the distance, haunted by the thought of others still suffering in the dark. A gentle hand reaches out, bridging the distance with a moment of tender connection. The silence is broken by this unexpected, heartwarming touch. A scarred hand reaches out to make contact, bridging the gap with a single tense touch. The silence is shattered by the weight of this mysterious connection. He questions whether he truly deserves this fleeting moment of peace. He struggles to accept that happiness is something he can actually hold on to. He vows to protect this feeling no matter the cost or the opponent. A sudden, violent outburst shatters the quiet, leaving everyone on edge. With a thunderous stomp, the chase begins. Every step shakes the ground as they launch into high-speed action. He frantically calls out for his companion, his voice laced with panic. The air suddenly crackles with tension as a shiver runs down his spine. Something terrifying is about to go down. He scans the area, desperate to find his missing friend. She announces she's heading off to school, leaving him momentarily confused by the word. She reminds him to keep an eye on the house while she's gone. He nods, trying to hide his anxiety about being left alone. He forces a goodbye, though he's still not entirely sure what school entails. She heads out the door, leaving him to his thoughts. He notices Fry acting strangely and wonders what has the pup so agitated. He tries to comfort the little guy, suggesting a walk to get some fresh air. He debates the risks, knowing he needs to be careful about being seen. He worries about the danger, wondering if the people hunting him are still on his tail. He tries to reassure himself, with his face restored, surely no one would recognize him now. He sighs in relief, hoping he's right. She tells him to grab the leash from the drawer before they head out. The pup barks, eager to start the adventure. He fumbles with the leash, wondering if it's supposed to feel this restrictive. He winces, worried he might have hurt the pup by tying it too tight. He freezes, a dark memory of his own past restraints flashing before his eyes. He recalls the agony of electricity flowing through those shackles, burning his body. He sighs, accepting that these precautions are just a part of living in a world that fears him. He apologizes to the pup, his voice thick with guilt. The news hits like a freight train, shattering his composure instantly. Pure, unadulterated madness takes over as he screams into the receiver. He realizes in horror that Fry is gone. He tears through the house, calling out for his little friend. The urgency is palpable. He can't lose the only thing that brought him joy. He begs for an answer, his heart sinking with every passing second. He checks every corner, praying he's just missed him. Panic begins to cloud his judgment as the search turns up nothing. He checks under the furniture, his movements becoming frantic. He spirals, terrified of what the world might do to such a small, vulnerable creature. The thought of a car accident makes his blood run cold. He imagines the worst-case scenarios, his mind playing tricks on him. He feels like a failure, having promised to protect the pup just yesterday. He pauses, catching a faint scent in the air. He realizes the trail leads toward the school. He spots him. Fry is nearby, He realizes the pup must have followed her scent all the way to the campus. He watches from a distance, relieved to see the pup is safe. He tries to approach quietly, not wanting to cause a scene. He remembers Mr. Lee's warnings. He needs to move fast, but not too fast. He calls out, hoping to lure the pup back before he's spotted. The tension explodes on the pitch as our lone wolf finds himself completely surrounded. He's locked in a high-stakes standoff where one wrong move means total defeat. The field ignites as these rivals sprint head-to-head in a desperate dash for glory. Every step counts in this high-stakes race to the finish. The school day takes a turn as these two beauties share a laugh, completely oblivious to the chaos brewing behind them. While the girls whisper secrets nearby, the boys surround their friend like vultures closing in for the kill. The tension is thick enough to cut with a knife. He watches the students with fascination, realizing this is what a normal life looks like. He spots something unexpected and stops in his tracks. He overhears a conversation about the origins of heart mutants, realizing the truth is far darker than he imagined. He hears talk of a 1,000,000,001 bounty and the syndicates that trade in human lives. It's sickening. He realizes how the outside world truly sees his kind, as nothing more than walking jackpots. He knows he has to find Fry and vanish before he becomes the next target. A mysterious figure watches from the shadows as an innocent pup trots into the trap. The stage is set for a fateful encounter. The students are busy filming a dance challenge, totally caught up in their own world. One of them checks the recording, looking for approval. They gush over how pretty their friend is, completely distracted by social media. She brushes off the compliments, though she's clearly enjoying the attention. One of them spots the pup and lets out a shriek of delight. They swarm the little guy, completely ignoring the danger he might be in. They decide to film the pup for their story, needing the perfect shot. He rushes in, desperate to get his pup back before things get complicated. The girls jump back, shocked by the sudden arrival of a stranger. They call him a creep, completely misunderstanding his intentions. He stammers, trying to explain that he just wants his dog back. They notice the pup is actually adorable, shifting their mood instantly. They analyze his uniform, assuming he's just an awkward freshman. They offer to let him join their video, oblivious to his discomfort. He tries to refuse, knowing he shouldn't be on camera, but they aren't taking no for an answer. They demand his social media handle, determined to get him online. They insist on tagging him to boost his follower count. He doesn't even know what Instagram is, which only makes them more curious. They try to explain the benefits of being tagged by someone with 100K followers. They think he's playing hard to get, finding his shyness absolutely charming. He looks around, feeling completely out of his depth. He awkwardly admits he doesn't have any of those things, leaving them stunned. The atmosphere turns icy as a mysterious, indecipherable message flickers on the screen. He politely declines the offer with a smile, though he can't help but blurt out an awkward apology immediately after. The crowd is absolutely stunned. Did Min Jong actually just get turned down in public? Usually, guys are practically throwing their social media handles at her. But this guy's defense is an impenetrable fortress. Frustrated by the rejection, he declares that since he can't have her contact, he's simply taking the puppy instead. He clutches the dog, whispering a desperate apology and vowing never to let it go again. Pure, unadulterated rage consumes the room. The tension reaches a breaking point as the girls confront him with cold, judgmental stares. He doesn't even flinch, standing his ground with a sinister, mocking smirk. A bystander points him out, asking if that's Taigu's girl being approached. Taigu is seething, watching the stranger try to pick up Min Jong using a dog as a prop. Who does this guy think he is? It's some random transfer student from class 4 out of 2. And Taigu is absolutely losing his mind that this punk is making a move right in front of him. Taigu demands the ball, leaving the stranger confused as to why he's so obsessed with a piece of sports equipment. A warning echoes through the crowd. The last time he had a ball in his hand, someone ended up with a broken nose. The air turns lethal. With a gravity-defying leap, He unleashes a thunderous kick that sends the ball screaming across the field. The sheer power behind the strike leaves his opponents frozen in total shock. The victim stands there, completely shell-shocked by the display. A cold, piercing gaze locks onto the target with lethal intensity. There is no escaping that chilling look. Cold, predatory eyes lock onto their target with murderous intent. There is nowhere left to hide. A gentle hand reaches out to soothe the adorable beast. Even the fiercest warriors can't resist this level of cuteness. A pained cry rings out across the field. He rushes over, feigning concern as he checks if his target is all right. Blood begins to drip. It's a direct hit to the nose. He apologizes profusely, claiming the ball just slipped, while keeping his eyes locked on the prize. He acts frantic, shouting apologies and feigning worry about the broken nose. But his eyes tell a different story. He warns the onlookers to be careful, acting like the most concerned person on earth. The puppy is safe, but the stranger is clearly not happy about the near miss. He demands an apology. A double nosebleed. The impact was so severe it's practically a work of art. A chilling realization strikes as he hides his face, his eyes burning with pure, unadulterated shock. Something went horribly wrong, and there's no turning back now. He continues to play the concerned friend, suggesting a trip to the nurse's office while secretly reveling in the chaos. He brushes off the damage, insisting his only priority is the safety of the puppy. The victim accepts the apology, still dazed and confused by the bizarre encounter. He starts to walk away, making a mental note that his opponent was surprisingly easy to handle. Taegu is fuming, ordering his lackeys to dig up every detail on this mysterious transfer student. He sighs with relief, genuinely shaken by the thought of losing his furry companion. But he smiles, realizing the school grounds actually offered him a rare chance to see kids his own age. He wonders for a fleeting second what it would be like to actually fit in and make some friends here. Dead-eyed and unimpressed, our protagonist encounters an unexpected arrival. What kind of chaotic mess is this little guy dragging him into? He tries to smooth things over with a friendly, albeit awkward, apology for the earlier incident. He suggests that since they're in the same grade, they should just be friends because that's how logic works, right? He offers to buy the guy some bread as a sorry for the ball incident. The victim is left completely baffled. Bread? Is he serious? The victim is suspicious but can't help but be caught off guard by the sheer randomness of the offer. He even asks if there's anything for the puppy to eat, promising to spare no expense. He mocks the victim, suggesting he must be hungry from all that trying to look cool earlier. A brutal stomp is incoming. There's nowhere left to run from this crushing blow. The hit lands with a sickening thud. Taegu and his cronies arrive, laughing at the pathetic sight of the stranger being lured by bread. They can't believe he actually followed someone just for a snack. It's pathetic. They openly wonder if the kid is playing with a full deck. A knuckle sandwich is served, right to the face. Taegu sneers, calling him a weak little loser. The stranger looks annoyed. Why is everyone suddenly getting so aggressive? He asks why they're acting up, only for Taegu to scream about him hitting on Minjong. Taegu threatens him, promising he'll be crawling and crying after just one real hit. The goons laugh, mocking his scrawny frame and the puppy, completely oblivious to the fact that they are about to regret everything. He genuinely thought they were inviting him to be friends, not to a beatdown. He apologizes again, trying to leave, but Taegu isn't done with him yet. Taegu blocks the path, laughing at the idea that this weakling thought he could just walk away. The stranger's mood shifts instantly. His puppy is getting scared, and that is a major problem. Taegu insults the dog, but he's about to find out exactly who he's barking at. A lightning-fast strike. Ji-yoon goes flying, leaving everyone else in the vicinity speechless. Did he really just send a guy flying with one swing of his arm? The onlookers are paralyzed. What just happened? They stare in horror as the reality of the situation sinks in. A chilling gaze pierces through the shadows. Someone is about to face his lethal wrath. The eldritch heart pulses with terrifying, rhythmic power. A sinister life force awakens, signaling doom. A brutal, crushing blow descends with absolute malice. There is nowhere left to hide from this devastating strike. A bone-crushing impact pins him to the wall. The fight just got personal. With a bone-chilling display of raw power, he slams his opponent's head straight into the brick wall. The sheer force leaves his victim trembling in total terror. He sternly reminds them that the puppy is scared. It's time to stop the nonsense. The brick wall actually starts to crumble under the force of the impact. They realize they've made a massive mistake. This kid is a total monster. The silence that follows is deafening. He moves with terrifying precision. Absolute terror takes hold as his face contorts in a gut-wrenching scream. He's completely lost it. He begs for his life, promising he'll never cause trouble again. He starts rambling about his own puppy, desperate to prove he's a good guy who doesn't deserve this kind of violence. Please, just let him go this one time. The desperation is palpable. He suddenly pauses, complaining that all that fighting made him hungry again. Talk about a weird priority shift. The goons are dumbfounded. Is he really thinking about food right now? They realize he's basically holding them hostage while casually asking for a snack. Off to the school store they go. He thanks them for the food, seemingly having forgotten the beatdown entirely. The tension explodes as a brutal strike lands, leaving his opponent reeling in shock. One swift blow just shifted the entire power balance of this fight. He enjoys the bread, delighted by the unexpected hint of strawberry inside. They are completely baffled. Is he a genius or just a complete idiot? They wonder if he was a pro athlete, given that incredible strength. But no athlete can crack a wall like that. There's something else going on. He shares the food with his puppy, completely unbothered by the terrified people surrounding him. The local boss arrives, unimpressed and ready to deal with this transfer student problem. Taegu begs the boss to step in and save his reputation. The boss is annoyed, wondering why he's being called for such a trivial matter, but curiosity gets the better of him. The tension hits a breaking point as he screams into the phone in absolute despair. Something has gone horribly wrong, and he's spiraling out of control. The boss listens, realizing his junior actually got his butt kicked by some random kid. He finds it hilarious and decides to drop by just to see how pathetic this strong kid really is. He agrees to meet up later, planning to handle the situation personally. Taegu smirks, thinking the transfer student is as good as dead once the boss shows up. He offers a piece of his bread to the guys, still acting like they're all best friends. The goons are too terrified to even move. He insists they eat, oblivious to their fear, and they are too scared to refuse him. They watch him eat, wondering how someone so strong can be so clueless. The mystery deepens. Wait, didn't he hurt his hand on the wall earlier? So why is his hand completely fine now? Superhuman strength and rapid regeneration? This kid is definitely not normal. They recall myths about heart mutants, people with powers triggered by their emotions, existing in less than 0.001% of the population. One of them finally puts two and two together. Is he a heart mutant? He coughs, caught off guard by the question, and tries to play it cool. It's the first time they've ever seen one in the flesh, and the realization is terrifying. If he's a mutant, is it even safe to be around him? The boss is heading for disaster if he tries to fight a mutant, but they're too scared to warn him. They whisper to each other. It's confirmed, he's a heart mutant. They decide the best course of action is to pretend the whole teaching him a lesson idea never happened. But then, greed wins. They think capturing a mutant would be an even bigger achievement. He finishes his snack and stands up, ready to head home. They try to stall him, insisting there's still plenty of time left in the break. He's firm, he's going home, end of story. A cold sweat breaks as the realization hits. There's nowhere left to run. The tables have turned, and the sheer terror is written all over his face. They desperately try to convince him to skip school and hit the arcade instead. The arcade, a paradise for someone who's never seen the outside world. He's mesmerized by the neon lights and the sounds, completely overwhelmed by the modern world. He confesses he didn't even know places like this existed. Everything is a new, magical discovery for him. He spots a toy that looks just like the one Hyaji has. They're stunned. Has this guy lived in a cave his whole life? They shove some money into a claw machine, trying to keep him distracted while the boss arrives. He's fascinated by the controls, moving the claw with intense, childlike focus. He actually wins on his first try. He holds the prize high, absolutely thrilled with his victory. He's having the time of his life, completely oblivious to the fact that he's being stalled for an ambush. They move on to the karaoke room, trying to keep the momentum going. He's never even heard of a coin karaoke booth before. They push him to sing, laughing at his shyness. He starts singing a sweet, innocent children's song. The atmosphere in the room gets real awkward, real fast. Why is he singing nursery rhymes? He explains it's the only song he knows, the one his mother taught him before they were separated. The room goes dead silent as he describes his tragic past and his inability to live a normal life. The goons are actually starting to feel bad for the guy. Is this what all heart mutants are like? Just sad, lonely people? Pure terror takes hold as he breaks down in a pathetic, snot-filled display of fear. His composure is shattered, leaving him completely helpless against the looming threat. They tell him if he couldn't live normally, then he should live extraordinarily. Time to show him a new world. They hit the arcade games with a frantic, desperate energy. They shout instructions, but he's just doing his own thing, totally dominating the machine. They're all panting, exhausted from the intensity of the games. He's a total natural, laughing as he keeps winning, completely unaware of the looming confrontation. If you're enjoying this recap, smash that like button and subscribe for more. They play until they're breathless, the earlier tension momentarily forgotten in the chaos of the arcade. The excitement is palpable as he drags his friend to the arcade, bragging about how it's the most fun he's ever had. They stop for a quick house coffee, fueling up for the chaos ahead. A phone rings in the middle of the night, and the recipient is clearly not happy about the wake-up call. Boss Yonkiol is absolutely losing his mind, screaming at the top of his lungs for his underling to pick up the phone faster. The underling panics, suddenly remembering he was supposed to be holding a captive for the boss to interrogate. Oops. He's so distracted by the fun they had at the photo booth that he completely forgot his mission. What a dedicated employee of the year. The atmosphere turns icy as the focus shifts to a deadly encounter. A cold, piercing gaze locks onto the target. Silence speaks louder than words as the tension reaches its breaking point. Amidst the bustling crowd, a tense standoff freezes time as he kneels before the mysterious creature. All eyes are locked on the scene, and the air is thick with anticipation. The boss stares in total confusion. What on earth is happening? The realization hits hard. Everything is falling apart. It turns out the punk they were hunting isn't a heart mutant after all. Talk about a massive waste of gas money. The underling is practically begging for his life, terrified of the boss's growing rage. Cold sweat beads on his brow as his eyes narrow with lethal intensity. The moment of truth has arrived, and he's not backing down. The conversation takes a turn for the emotional as the puppy is revealed to be the target's only family. Even the cruelest thugs have a soft spot. This situation just got unexpectedly depressing. He reminisces about his own dog, Bobby, and the crushing fear of her eventual passing. Tears stream down his face as he admits he can't even think about his own pet dying without breaking down. He reveals he's protected the puppy from his own friends, showing a tiny shred of humanity amidst the violence. The realization sinks in. The danger to the boy is a danger to the dog, and that's a line he refuses to cross. The situation remains tense as he struggles to maintain his composure. A heavy silence hangs in the air between the two. The confrontation escalates as Taegu is cornered. The boss isn't playing games anymore, demanding to know the location of the mutant with a deathly stare. Taegu braces himself for the inevitable fallout. The demand repeats, colder and more threatening than before. Where is the mutant hiding? The arcade battle reaches a fever pitch as a frantic observer cheers on the intense showdown. Every button press counts in this high-stakes clash of gaming supremacy. The boss loses his patience, screaming at the underling to understand the gravity of the situation. The entire gang has gathered for this one job, and failure is absolutely not an option. The underling frantically tries to explain that it's all a huge misunderstanding. The kid is just a regular loser. He recounts how the kid couldn't even handle a game of pump or a soccer ball without collapsing. He insists the kid is a total weakling and apologizes for dragging the boss out for nothing. The boss is left fuming, wondering if his intel was completely wrong. The boss sighs, finally accepting that the target might not be here. The boss mocks Taegu, asking if he's upset that his older brother is putting him in his place. He grabs Taegu by the face, noting that his lies are written all over his expressions. The demand for the truth rings out. Why the sudden change in the story, kid? The boss warns him about how dangerous the world is because of mutants and why they have to be ruthless. He laughs off Taigu's supposed concern, finding his little brother's attempt at protection hilarious. Taegu tries to get a word in, but it's no use. The boss starts talking cold, hard cash, offering a massive reward for the mutant. He boasts about his connections, including a broker ready to handle the illegal trade without any backlash. Taegu is stunned. Isn't this just straight-up human trafficking? The reality of the world hits home. Heart mutants are being bought and sold by the government and research labs like cattle. He thought these were just internet rumors, but seeing it right in front of him is a wake-up call. The underling tries to plead his case again, but the boss is done listening. The boss grabs him by the throat, cutting off his air supply. He's completely fed up with the incompetence, and he's ready to make someone pay. He orders his goons to beat the answers out of the underling. A sickening thud echoes as the violence begins. He struggles to breathe as the blows rain down on him. He begs them to stop, but his pleas fall on deaf ears. He continues to cry out for mercy, but the beating only intensifies. A sharp cry rings out as the punishment continues. The boss turns his attention to the freshmen, questioning why they're bullying a friend. The intimidated crew scrambles to obey the boss's commands. The boss singles out Joe Taegu, who trembles in response. He reminds the boy of their familial bond, adding an extra layer of pressure. He lectures Taegu on loyalty and the shame of getting beaten up like a weakling. A brutal flurry of kicks rains down, leaving the target helpless on the ground. There is no escape from this merciless beatdown. Taegu snaps, swearing under his breath at his own brother. The boss is skeptical, claiming he knows Taegu too well to be fooled by a lie. He mocks Taegu's loyalty, calling it cool, while preparing to crush it. He dismisses the moral weight of selling a human being to a broker. He points out that selling him solo is a low-yield deal, but doing it with the boss is big business. He orders a chain, ready to break Taegu's spirit once and for all. He brings up Taegu's desire to live coolly, twisting the meaning to fit his own greed. He claims that making money without shame is the ultimate way to live. With a twisted smile, he tells Taegu they should both live coolly. Taegu tries to stand his ground, but his voice wavers. He finally spits out the truth. The boss is being incredibly uncool right now. He immediately regrets the outburst, realizing he just signed his own death warrant. The boss stares in disbelief, his eyes darkening with murderous intent. Taegu stammers an apology, terrified of his brother's reaction. The boss is done with the games and orders his death. With a crushing grip, he seizes the chains and stops the attack dead in its tracks. The tension is absolute, and there's no escaping this iron-fisted lockdown. The chain is heavy, rough, and perfectly designed to leave permanent scars. The boss notes that a weapon like this ensures the lesson will be remembered for a lifetime. He looks at Taegu, wondering where this sudden defiance came from. A gasp escapes him as he realizes he's been caught. He explains he came looking for him because he was worried he wouldn't come back. He screams for them to run, knowing the dangers of the men they are dealing with. The bitter truth comes out. He was the one who called them to teach Taegu a lesson. He even lied about the heart mutant status just to spite his own brother. The tension in the room is suffocating. He admits his motivation was petty revenge for being hit earlier. He looks at the weapon in his hand, suddenly questioning his own actions. Pure rage burns in his eyes as he locks onto his target. There's no escaping the wrath of this absolute beast. A cold sweat breaks as the reality of defeat sets in. His eyes widen in pure, unadulterated shock. A brutal swing connects with bone-shattering force. The victim is left reeling as the assailant strikes with lethal intent. The masked man's eyes lock onto his target with cold, murderous intent. There's no turning back now, the hunt is officially on. Pure, unadulterated rage consumes him as he grits his teeth in a moment of sheer desperation. The tension is reaching its breaking point. A bark cuts through the silence, signaling something unexpected. The chaos continues as the situation spirals further out of control. The boss realizes the truth. The heart mutant actually walked right into their trap on his own. The realization is almost too good to be true. A final, desperate reach ends in a pool of fresh blood. The end is near. Confusion reigns as the attacker wonders what just happened. A pained groan escapes him as he realizes the tables have turned. The stakes have never been higher for everyone involved. One brutal blow sends him crashing to the pavement. The street fight turns chaotic as the gang swarms their fallen prey. The tension spikes as two thugs corner their battered target in a dark alley. With nowhere to run, the pressure is about to explode. The silence is deafening as he descends the stairs, radiating an aura of pure, cold-blooded menace. Every heavy step brings him closer to an inevitable, brutal confrontation. The order is given to kill him, and the thugs don't hesitate. The gang swarms in, ready to finish the job once and for all. A sudden movement changes the flow of the battle. He prepares himself for the incoming onslaught. Groans and cries fill the alley as the tide of the fight shifts dramatically. A lightning-fast strike connects, sending his opponent reeling from the sheer force of the blow. The fight just went from 0 to 100 in a single heartbeat. With a lightning-fast strike, he slams his opponent into the ground. That brutal impact leaves no room for mercy. The carnage is just beginning. The masked assailant lunges with lethal intent, swinging the bat with bone-crushing force. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. It's lights out. A brutal, calculated swing connects with deadly precision. The target is sent reeling as a fountain of blood erupts into the air. A lightning-fast kick cuts through the air, shattering the attacker's guard in one brutal motion. That precision strike leaves no room for mercy. The thugs are terrified, questioning if the monster they're fighting is even human. The masked assailant lunges, but our protagonist shuts him down with a lightning-fast block. The hunter is about to become the prey. Desperate, the gang screams for someone to use a knife and end it. A brutal, unexpected blade tears through his back. The victim is left reeling as the cold steel finds its mark. They gloat, taunting him as he writhes in pain. A cough of blood signals the severity of his injury. They keep screaming for him to die, terrified of the monster in front of them. A razor-sharp blade bites deep into flesh. Blood spills as the lethal strike finds its mark. A cold, predatory grin spreads across his face as he locks eyes with his next target. The tension explodes. He's ready to strike. He tells them to stop, but the assault only continues. A swift strike catches them completely off guard. They're in total disbelief. How is he still moving after being stabbed? He looks at them with an unreadable expression. He silences them with a brutal counterattack, sending them flying. The thugs are breaking, realizing they messed with the wrong mutant. A sudden burst of speed tears through the air. They've launched themselves into action with blinding intensity. With a cold, lethal gaze, he closes the distance to deliver a crushing blow. The fight is over before his opponent even realizes he's been hit. The masked infiltrator lunges forward with lethal intent, eyes burning with pure desperation. Caught in the heat of the moment, he strikes with everything he's got. Total shock hits like a lightning bolt. The unexpected twist leaves everyone speechless. He reveals his true identity, and the air goes cold. The death sentence is declared. None of them are walking away from this. A sharp bark echoes through the alley as the final act begins. The beatdown is absolute. With a firm grip on his hair, he's left broken and battered. A cry of agony is silenced by a swift strike. If you're enjoying this recap, smash that like button and subscribe for more. His friend calls out, terrified by the carnage. He frantically tries to call for help, begging him to stay alive. He brushes off the injury, claiming he is perfectly fine. His friend stares, unable to comprehend the wound that should have been fatal. Pure terror grips him as he realizes he's completely outmatched. He's staring death right in the face. Battered and breathless, he stares down the barrel of total defeat. The pressure is mounting, and he's reaching his absolute breaking point. He offers a hollow apology to the mess he created. The situation has reached a point of no return. His brother screams at him, blaming him for choosing the wrong path and the wrong friends. He berates him for the betrayal, finally seeing the consequences of his greed. He confesses the truth. He sold him out because he valued his connection with the older guys more than his own brother. What a stellar sibling. He reflects on his past, realizing he was just a mindless thug hanging out with the wrong crowd, blissfully unaware of how far he'd fallen. Battered and bruised, he stares in absolute disbelief. Whatever he's seeing, it's enough to stop him dead in his tracks. Everything goes quiet as the word, tomorrow, hangs in the air like a death sentence. He points out his friend's bloody nose, offering a rag with the casual nonchalance of someone who isn't currently being beaten to a pulp. He stares at the offered rag, questioning if this pathetic scrap of fabric is really meant to save his dignity. A mysterious package is extended, holding secrets that could change everything. The moment of truth has arrived. Ignoring the absurdity, he urges his friend to clean up before the next wave of hits lands. After all, even a self-proclaimed loser deserves a clean face. A realization hits him. He wasn't the only one valuing this bond. Knowing he had a friend makes the pain almost bearable. Battered and bruised, he stares into the abyss, speechless after a brutal beatdown. The silence says it all. He's just been pushed to his absolute limit. Humiliated and battered, he clutches his swollen face in pure, agonizing defeat. The tears are flowing as reality hits him harder than any punch. He lets out a gut-wrenching, pathetic wail that echoes through the room. Between sobs, he chokes out a pathetic apology, begging for a shred of mercy. He pleads for his life, claiming he's currently busy, reflecting on his mistakes, while cowering on the floor. He swears on his life that he'll keep the secret of the heart mutant hidden forever. The tension breaks as he realizes he's just a side character in a much bigger story, and he's probably reading the wrong recap. Suddenly, the anger returns. He explodes in a fit of rage, calling his assailant a pig and demanding an apology for the sheer disrespect. The verbal sparring turns into a circus as he mocks the guy's bulked-up physique, calling out his fake toughness for all to hear. He screams for the end, baffled by the sudden emotional attachment these thugs are trying to fake. The group debates the fate of these pathetic losers, wondering if they should toss them to the cops or just finish the job to keep them quiet. Panic sets in as the goons realize their leverage is disappearing faster than their pride. They scramble for their lives, practically sobbing out promises to never speak of this encounter again. The sirens wail as confusion grips the air. Our protagonists are caught off guard by a sudden, inexplicable disturbance. The local police arrive, looking for cooperation, but they have no idea what kind of hornet's nest they've just walked into. The trap is sprung and the ambushers are cornered, their faces twisted in absolute terror. They realize too late that they've bitten off way more than they can chew. The thug tries to play the victim card, acting like he was just about to call the cops himself. The audacity is honestly impressive. He instantly flips the script, pointing fingers at the goons and exposing their human trafficking ring to the bewildered officers. He promises that a quick trip to their hideout will yield enough evidence to put them away for a long, long time. He pleads with the police to lock these adult criminals away before they can cause any more trouble. A chorus of groans erupts as the realization of their arrest hits the goons. They wail in agony, trying to milk the situation for every drop of pity possible. One of them starts listing his injuries, claiming a broken bone and a knife wound. Talk about a dramatic performance. The goons desperately try to flip the narrative, claiming they were the innocent victims of an unprovoked assault. Our protagonist is flabbergasted by the sheer audacity of these liars. Who actually beat whom here? He calls them out, reminding everyone that they were the ones trying to kidnap him in the first place. They point at our hero, insisting he's perfectly fine and that he attacked them out of nowhere. The gaslighting is real. The shouting match intensifies as everyone tries to prove who got hit the hardest. It's like a kindergarten playground, but with more potential for jail time. The officers struggle to maintain order, trying to herd these idiots to the station to sort out the mess. Desperate for a win, the goon drops the heart mutant card as a last-ditch effort to turn the police against our hero. He questions whether a mutant is even allowed to fight back, as if self-defense isn't a universal right. He tries to cite the mutant special law, hoping to find some obscure regulation to save his hide. The officer turns serious, demanding identification from our hero to verify his registration status. Our hero admits the truth. He doesn't have any official paperwork to show. The officer is shocked. Being an unregistered mutant is a serious violation of the law. The police demand an immediate registration process, asking for his identity and ability right on the spot. The word registration sends a cold shiver down his spine. He knows the labs are hunting for his specific skeleton appearance. Registration is a death sentence. He realizes that if he registers, the lab will find him in an instant. He has to play it cool and beg for some discretion. Just as things get heated, someone interrupts the interrogation. A breathless voice breaks through the tension, signaling a shift in the power dynamic. Everyone pauses, wondering who could possibly be barging into this situation. He is handed a phone, told simply to answer it. The mystery caller is clearly someone important. A single, hesitant greeting is uttered into the receiver. The voice on the other end identifies herself as a high-ranking official from the Special Mutant Task Force, providing her credentials to establish dominance. The local officers scramble to attention, their faces turning pale as they realize they've been barking up the wrong tree. The local corporal stiffens, realizing he's talking to someone far above his pay grade. The task force leader orders the immediate processing of the kidnappers and clears our hero of any wrongdoing, dismissing him as a witness. She takes full responsibility, leaving the local cops with no choice but to follow orders to the letter. The local officers scramble to obey, arresting the goons and letting our hero walk free. The goons are absolutely bewildered by this sudden turn of events. They were winning a second ago. They scream in confusion, unable to understand why the cops are suddenly turning on them. Our hero spots the girl who just saved his skin. Who is she? He asks his friend how she even knew where to find him in such a dire situation. She explains she followed him after seeing him get surrounded by those shady creeps. Talk about a guardian angel. They chuckle about the weird guy Taegu, who clearly has some explaining to do. She notices his battered state, and he admits he got into a bit of a brawl with some gangsters. She wonders about Taigu's odd behavior, though our hero defends him as a decent guy despite his strange eyes. Taegu interjects, clearly jealous that our hero actually has friends when he claimed he didn't. Our hero pivots, demanding to know who these thugs were working for. He suspects the mysterious Hermes lab might be pulling the strings. The thugs claim they've never heard of the lab, insisting they were just selling him to a local broker. The reality of the underground market is revealed. Brokers specifically hunt and trade heart mutants like livestock. Our hero's eyes harden. He isn't running away. He wants to hunt the hunters. Cornered and cuffed, our man faces the music under the intense glare of a crooked interrogation. The walls are closing in, but the real chaos is just getting started. His friends immediately shut down the idea, terrified for his safety. They try to explain just how dangerous these brokers are. You don't just walk into a viper's nest. The rumors are that these brokers are ruthless, specializing in capturing mutants for profit. To make matters worse, many of the brokers are rumored to be mutants themselves. The danger only makes him more determined. He needs to find those brokers. His friend asks why he's so obsessed with walking into a potential trap. He pauses, his expression softening as a long-buried memory surfaces. He thinks he might finally find a link to his long-lost friends. Taegu mocks him again for claiming he had no friends, but the sarcasm hides a bit of genuine care. He clarifies that these friends weren't from the outside world, they were from inside the lab. They were his only companions during the darkest days of his life. Every day in the lab was a blur of agonizing experiments and endless torture. He recalls the day he was dragged to an unknown location, trembling with terror. He wondered what kind of horrific experiment awaited him next in this new, unknown place. He opens his eyes to a nightmare. Swords are floating everywhere. Blades are flying through the air, creating a lethal, spinning dance. He cringes, terrified that he's about to be shredded by 1,000 steel blades. He is shoved inside, forced to face the blades because the alternative is even worse. The heavy iron door slams shut with a deafening thud. There is no turning back now. A deadly barrage of blades erupts in the room, but our hero strikes back with a swarm of stinging fury. The classroom turns into a lethal battlefield in a heartbeat. Death itself is staring back with hollow, wide-eyed shock. Something truly terrifying has just caught our skeletal friend completely off guard. A lethal blade slips effortlessly between his fingers. The ambush is set, and there's no turning back now. With a lightning-fast motion, he rips through the air. Nothing can stop this overwhelming strike. The sounds of the struggle echo as he dodges and weaves through the flying steel. A lethal blade pierces straight through the target in a flash of blinding speed. The enemy is neutralized before they even know what hit them. The air is thick with the ringing of metal on metal. He navigates the storm of steel, proving he's more than just a test subject. The others in the room freak out, accusing him of being a monster, until they get a closer look. One of them realizes the truth. The lab coat gives it away. He's not a monster. He's one of them. The realization ripples through the room, turning hostility into confusion. They stare at his skeletal frame in disbelief. A living skeleton? He hides his face in shame, feeling self-conscious about his appearance. The crowd closes in, their gazes locking onto their target with chilling intensity. There's no escaping the suffocating pressure of these looming faces. Someone breaks the ice, telling him he looks normal enough. The skeleton look is just his unique mutant trait. They offer a warm welcome, asking if it's his first day in the learning class. Introductions are made all around. He finally has names to attach to the faces of his new companions. He remembers that moment clearly. It was the first time he ever felt like he had friends. The place was a gathering ground for test subjects from all over, providing them a shred of humanity through education. They were all heart mutants, bonded by the shared trauma of being lab specimens. Caught mid-bite, he stares in absolute bewilderment at the sudden chaos unfolding before him. What could possibly be shocking enough to stop him from finishing his meal? His friend is floored by the revelation, shocked at the tragic life he's had to lead. The question hangs in the air. Where are those friends now? He recalls the day they finally made their escape, a bittersweet memory of freedom. It all clicks for his allies. His quest to find the brokers is really a quest to find his lost family. They pledge their full support, touched by his story and determined to help him reunite with his past. He reveals he snatched a phone from one of the thugs, and the broker's contact info is right inside. The messages are a goldmine of evidence, detailing a plan to capture him today at 7 p.m. 7 o'clock? That's only minutes away. The clock is ticking. Tension mounts as they prepare for the inevitable showdown. The thugs scream orders, telling everyone to pull out their tools and finish the job. Steel blades flash as the ambush begins in earnest. The blade shatters into pieces, leaving nothing but a jagged remnant in his palm. The fight is just getting started. He critiques their technique, clearly unimpressed by their amateur display. He points out that they don't even know how to use their own weapons properly. With a single, devastating strike, the opposition is left shattered on the ground. No one stands a chance against this overwhelming power. He challenges them to try something more creative than just swinging swords around. Frustrated, they switch to guns, desperate to end him once and for all. The barrel flashes and death strikes with blinding speed. No one can escape this lethal, point-blank execution. The smoke clears, leaving the thugs terrified of what just happened. He demonstrates true mastery, showing that even a simple blade can cut through iron if you have the right technique. He calls upon the heart of the sword, channeling his inner strength into a single, focused strike. He leaves a trail of broken bodies in his wake, dashing forward without looking back. The carnage is total as he charges headlong into the fray. A brutal, skull-crushing strike leaves the opponent reeling. One more thug hits the floor in this absolute bloodbath. With a brutal thud, our protagonist slams down into the center of the carnage. The massacre is complete, leaving nothing but broken bodies in his wake. He calmly suggests that they try to do a better job next time, as if he didn't just dismantle a small army. Another text notification chirps. Has the broker reached out again? A cold, calculating gaze pierces through the tension. He's locked onto his target, and there's no turning back. If you're enjoying this recap, smash that like button and subscribe for more. The screen lights up with a new message. A new customer has arrived, and the trap is set for our hero.